This is Pipsissewa.
Oh, that's what that is.
And that phrase, I'm told, in the native tongue means breaks apart the stones. I've got a personal story. I got a couple of them, but my mom was up, not this last Christmas, but the Christmas before, and she's had kidney stones, so she knew what it felt like. And she's at my house, and that hit her, and she's in pain, wanting to go to the emergency room. So I went out and I brewed her a tea out of this stuff, and I gave her 3 really strong infusions of tea back to back with this. She never went to the doctor. Okay.
How much to make a strong infusion? How much of the Pipsissewa would you need?
Okay, if it's dry, 1 tablespoon roughly
Really? Okay.
is good. If it's green, just use 3 times as much.
Okay.
Obviously, because once it's dried, you know you're getting more of it. You can, again, bare bones survival, no cup, no fire. You can chew it and swallow. It's also good for UTIs, and that's going to be common with females, especially in an austere environment such as camping or whatever. So it's good for UTIs, bladder infections, anything urinary tract from kidney to point of exit. This is good to have. It's also good for anxiety. A tea of that kind of helps mellow a person. So, and it's easy to spot. This time of year it's a little challenging because you have the leaf litter there, but you'll see just a bit of it. But you rake down and there's probably tons of it all around us. I've seen a bunch while we've been moving, so I wanted to point it out. I mean, it's here, it's medicinal. I've heard some of the old timers in the area call it rat vein. A lot of times there's a lot of local terms for the plant.
Red rat vein.
Some people, I've heard it called lion's tongue, mule's tongue. And I asked the one guy, he was in his 80s, I said, why do you call it mule's tongue? And he said, we used to feed it to our mules if they had a sore mouth. Like they're chewing on briars or whatever. So they would doctor their animals with these plants. I mean, that's information that gets lost with time, so that's kind of good to know. But me personally, I have given this to people, many people, for urinary tract stuff. My friend Joe, at the time, 77, he had kidney stone. He had kidney boulders, you know, and bunches of them. And I was treating him with this. He ended up having to have really invasive surgery because his were so far progressed. So that also tells me that there's a point at which, you know, you're not going to be able to fix everything with this. I've seen it be very effective. There's a story of a guy over in Lumpkin County, Georgia, and he had chronic kidney stones such that he was saving them and putting them in jars, and he kept them on his bookshelf. I mean, he had them just all the time. And one of the local survival instructors, a friend of mine actually, Mark Warren, had taught him about this plant. He runs Medicine Bow over in Dahlonega, and ever since he became aware of this plant and how to use it, he has never passed another kidney stone.
Wow.
And this was a guy that had just a chronic, he had obviously a severe predisposition to it. So it's important to know about. You know, if you're out in the woods and for whatever reason you can't get to medical help and it's anything urinary tract wise, that's...
And the anxiety brew is the same?
Same, just an infusion for 20 minutes, yeah.
I do have a question. Do you use the whole plant or is it just the leaves?
You can just clip it, or you can pull the leaves. I've done it that way. Usually I try to, like, see this area here, I've got some here, and some here. So what I would do when I harvest this is I would take this one and I'd leave these. And then I'd walk on a bit and I'd find some more and I'd take a bit there. I just kind of pick through like that. I never deplete anything when I'm taking it. It will sprout back. I've gone back where I've harvested it and it's come back. It'll get seed heads. It's not a very tall plant, but it will get a seed head on it that looks like a little round, kind of like a peppercorn before it's been ground up. It's about that size. And there'll be a couple, 3 of those in there, and that's where the seeds are at. And sometimes they get bigger, and sometimes I've seen the leaves be really gnarly and twisty. This one has holes in it where an insect's been eating it, which makes me wonder if our little beetle friend
That's what he was snacking on?
was maybe not the guy that had that. Maybe he was having a midlife crisis. I must have some. He needed anxiety treatment. But that was neat to find him here in the winter. That's just another thing. And see, there's some leaves of another species here that's been eaten on. Fairly recently. So that maybe that was him. I don't know. But yeah, this stuff, be looking around as you walk around camp. I bet you between here and the car when you leave, you'll find some. It's all over. And you can take it and dry it as you're walking along, even if you don't need it right now. I usually come home and empty my pockets out, and I've got it there, and I'll just lay it out and let it air dry in the room, and then just throw it in a mason jar, and then all of a sudden somebody will say, hey, do you have any of that stuff? And yes, I do, matter of fact. Thank you for asking. It's already there, you know. So I keep stuff like that around the house.